Hi, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about figurines. In this case, kind of Funko and how they've expanded their various lines. Now, Funko have been around for some period of time. How the fuck would I don't care. I didn't have to do research. Neither do you. Shut up. But we're mostly talking about right now 3 different variations of figurines that I have for their own style of creatures. Now this is creatures, peoples, characters, everything from movies and TV and pop culture, all that jazz. So yes, it's not a typical type of video where I'm talking about movies, but it's movie related to at least the ideal aspect of collectibles. If you are curious to watch more collectible kind of stuff, I do have a second channel called Collector Creations where I review figurines. I review mostly Funko stuff, but I've got other kind of figurines around the place from either other countries or different brands or whatever, so it's slowly growing, but you know. Anyway, today we're gonna... oh wait, this is a toy. This is Funko Soda. This is one of their many variations. It's focusing on my face, which is very annoying. It doesn't matter if I'm attractive. Look at the can. So this is what a Funko Soda looks like. It's a small can, limited to a small amount of units, with a little figurine inside, of course. It's actually really hard to take this cap off. I should have chosen the Envy one. But you just get a little figurine inside that comes in a bag, and it comes with a disc to show off some character art. Boom. But it also shows off the amount in terms of limited nature. This is 1 of 4,000. It's not number 1 of 4,000, it's just 1 of 4,000. They did make a chase variant for Knives, whom is right here. This is what Knives looks like. This is her pose from like halfway throughout the movie where she's dyed her hair, very karate-esque. I like it. That's not because she's Asian, it's because it's what she does. She fights. Anyway, it's cool. I like it. I got this and I got MV Adams because I really like Scott Pilgrim. And so, you know, there's that mixed with, obviously, the more obvious Funko Pops, which I'll show one off, at least. My boy Hitchcock. Hitchcock, of course, the famous director, as you know. Same kind of design style, at least. If I'm comparing the pair, you know, you've got different weight, different height, different everything. So they've got enough variability. Still have dead black eyes, I know. But there's at least this kind of an idea of you can showcase what you really like in terms of your pop culture obsession simply with a tiny 3 3 3/4, I think it is, inch figurine. Or alternatively, there's the more childlike approach to it, which I know that kind of sounds ironic given that you could argue these are children's toys, but even most pop vinyl collectors would even say, these aren't children's toys. I wouldn't even debate that these are toys. Toys, like I would like to say, move. Lego, for example, it's the perfect variability of a toy. You can make whatever you want out of it, so your own creative juices can go, but you can also move things and add things to it and whatever. These are little figures that just sit there on your shelf and get dust. That's it. I wouldn't give these to a kid. You know, I wouldn't buy these for a kid, but I feel like some silly nature does appear to that. But then there's the other variation that I have, which I'll show you now. This is the creature from the Black Lagoon. It's very small, yes. This is probably 2 inches. It's definitely shorter than a regular pop vinyl. It's a mystery mini, where, like you would expect, if you ever had those, it's like a mystery, any kind of mystery pack you can imagine as a kid, or whether it be collectible cards where you open a pack, you don't know what's going to be in it, and you get different kinds of cards, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh, AFL trading cards, that kind of jazz. Figurines, I'd say, you know, the minis, the Lego mystery minis, whatever, I can't even remember what the fuck they're called, minifigures. That kind of deal. You could get anything of a series, of a range of a series. This is from like the first series of horror minis. I also have Slimer from Ghostbusters, and I have Cthulhu that glows in the dark. You know, I got these because this one, I love the creature from the Black Lagoon, so I want to get that. Slimer, I don't actually care for his pop vinyl design, so I'm like, hey, this is cool, and it has a little... I'll show you. Slimer, who is, again, absolutely tiny. Let me try to get the focus. And quite a pompous butt there as well. I know, this is a very educational video. And last but not least, I got Cthulhu, which is a very strange design for Cthulhu, but to be fair, realistically, if you've read any Cthulhu things, there shouldn't really be a design for Cthulhu, but it also glows in the dark, hence its colour. And it all comes down to this kind of an idea of, what is the purpose of collecting? No, I'm kidding. I don't see, look at the shit behind me. There's no question of what's the purpose of collecting. The purpose of collecting is to enjoy what the fuck you can get. So I may get a lot of people criticizing me for buying Funko Pops or these little minis or these little things for children, where it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. Jesus, leave me alone. Just because I've got a Mr. Potato Head doesn't mean you have to as well. And no, I'm not talking about the Mr. Potato Head pop vinyl. There is a Mr. Potato Head pop vinyl. It doesn't make any sense. It's like flocked Pokemon that aren't, that are lizards and shit, like, what is it? Bulbasaur and Charmander. How can they have fur when they're lizards and plants? Doesn't make any sense. I know plants do have fur, but Bulbasaur doesn't. Anyway, I think it's just this, like, nice kind of expression. I have movies, but I also have pop vinyls. I have pop vinyls in here in the theatre room. I've got, again, Hitchcock up there next to his box set. I've got Twin Peaks up here. You can't see them, but there's Dale and Cooper. No, Dale is Cooper. What the fuck? There's Cooper and Laura Palmer from Twin Peaks in their Black Lodge variation on my Twin Peaks box set. Behind the camera where the piano is, where I've got a lot more of my premiums displayed, I've got the Mysterio figure. I've got 9 other pop vinyls, including, well, they're all from movies, in fact. I like to have a kind of theme. You got 3 Blade Runners, you got 3 horror, actually technically 6 horror, because 3 of them is Jack Torrance from The Shining, Frankenstein's monster, and Jack, who's on fire. Monster in the aspect of it's a baby on fire, not in the aspect of it's a baby. Except, to be fair, babies are kind of monstrous. Anyway, and then there's Beetlejuice behind them, which is Beetlejuice in a wedding suit, Lydia in a wedding dress, and Lydia with her black hat and book. But on the same shelf, I've also got Mr. Potato Head, I've got a gargoyle, I've got some pictures of my family on trips overseas, because it's not my piano, it's not my room, it's not my house. I don't live here. I'm kidding. Well, I do live here, I don't own the place. But then, of course, I've got, the Alien set, I've got the Trip to the Moon, I've got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Blade Runner, Scott Pilgrim. There's a whole variation of stuff just on the piano, not to mention the Godzilla, Richmond stuff, and all the other stuff on the rest of the piano. Life and consumerism is all about this whole idea of collecting and buying things that represent what you like. I love the Creature from the Black Lagoon. If it wasn't Halloween, I would be wearing the Creature from the Black Lagoon shirt. But because it's Halloween, it's got to wear a Halloween 3 shirt. Boys, see, again, collectibles, you wear them on your shirt. I hope they didn't disrupt the microphone too much. But collectibles range so variously, and to put as my main example here, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, I love the creature. I've seen the film like once, maybe twice, and that was only like a few years ago. Like, I think it was 2017 I went through all those Universal Monster movies, and I've always loved the creature before I ever saw the film. Again, that's what pop culture does to you. You see things before you know, or you know things, or you see things before you actually witness them in their true form. I knew of Reagan from The Exorcist and her spinning head and the vomiting before I watched The Exorcist. I watched The Exorcist this year for the first time, and I've known about that scene since I was like 12. I'm 22. And so there's stuff like that that's just so ingrained. And so the Creature from the Black Lagoon, I've always loved the look of the monster, because I grew up with Frankenstein stuff, but it was always the more elusive one because we never had it. So I bought the Blu-ray. I'm like, holy shit, this film is amazing. I still haven't even seen the sequels. I've got one of them. I don't have the second one. But I'm probably waiting for a really good restoration of the second and third one, because they did do a box set. But the second one was meant to be 3D. They fucked up the transfer, and then they just left it because they're assholes. Anyway. But I like getting different variations of creatures. So the creature from the Black Lagoon, I've got 3 different Funko Pops. One that glows in the dark, one that's regular, and one that's metallic, which means it's shiny. I've got the horror mini. I've got a t-shirt. I have the poster. I'm pretty sure I have the poster. I don't actually have it on my wall, but I'm pretty sure I have the poster. I have the Blu-ray, and I have a steelbook. The steelbook is coming in the mail, so, you know. But it's like, there's stuff like Scott Pilgrim that I adore, there's stuff like Blade Runner that I adore, you know. I'm allowed to have, not exactly an obsession, but more or less a appeal to these things. We all do, you know. It's not exactly a crime. I don't have to have people come into my house and be like, why the fuck do you have toys in your bedroom? Why do you have all these several copies of the same film that you already have once over? It's just what I have, you know. People don't come over and look at my shelf and think, fuck man, you've got too many movies. They do think that, but they don't think as in, dude, why are you spending so much on movies? Fucking Netflix, bitch. And I'm like, no, because that means you have to have good internet. And we're in Australia, where internet shit. Also, fuck Netflix. I don't like streaming. I do stream. I've got Criterion Channel, I've got Netflix. But I don't like it. I like Criterion Channel because it's a lot cheaper than buying fucking Criterions. Holy shit. Anyway. But yeah, I like buying stuff. I like getting collectible things. I like getting collectible steelbooks. I like getting collectible t-shirts. This was actually a collectible t-shirt. I wear it only in October because I always forget about it. And I'm like, oh fuck, it's October. Where are my cool t-shirts? So yeah, I do have a Creature from the Black Lagoon t-shirt, as I said. I wore that the other week. We went to Woolworths and to buy food. And there was one of the girls at the register said there was a favourite film. You know, so I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. It's weird that Creature from the Black Lagoon is your favourite film, but I'm not against it, you know. It'd probably be my top, it's not even in my top probably 100 movies. I really gotta watch that movie again. But still, it's like, I feel like the creature is something that, I love the creature, but I don't particularly love the movie. I like the movie. Again, I've seen it only once, so I can't say I love it because I haven't been able to reassess it with my 4 years later knowledge kind of deal, you know? It's something like Scott Pilgrim I've been watching for the past 6-7 years now. Something like Blade Runner 2049 I've watched once to twice a year since it first came out. You know, Alien I've been watching since I was 5 or 6 years old. Yes, it traumatized me, but I still love it. You know, there's all this stuff that just makes you love what you've got, you know? And I like that. I appreciate what I have. I appreciate people who know that and can appreciate this kind of stuff as well. I've got colleagues who have whole different collections of their own. One of my colleagues loves pop vinyls, and he has all these horror ones, but he's also got horror dolls and stuff like that as well. And him and his girlfriend love them. And they've got a whole room displaying them, to the point that they've still got ones in boxes because they haven't got the room to display them all yet. And I think that's really cool. They went to America, not just to go to America, but also to go and experience that stuff and be able to relive the locations where certain films were filmed at, like Halloween and whatever. They went to Salem, you know. They got all this stuff there, and it's awesome. Another one of my colleagues loves comic books, so he's got a whole... I don't even know how much of a comic book collection he has because he buys mostly digital now just because it's easier. But he has a bunch of Superman. Like, he loves Superman. He has so many different variations of Superman as figurines. And it's incredible. And I completely respect that. Like, looking at how many fucking movies I have over 1,000 Blu-rays here. Like, of course it's frickin' insane that I have over 1,000 Blu-rays. But I love it. I don't bring people in here to brag about it. I bring people in here to show them my appreciation for this stuff. I love movies so much that I have them on physical, that I have these premium steelbook editions and stuff. I've got limited to 1,000 copies only versions. I've got pop vinyls and other figurines that show off my interest because that's what I love. I've got t-shirts that show off my interests. It's just what it is, and it's a cool thing to be able to appreciate this stuff and to have other people to appreciate it with. My girlfriend in particular, I usually always ask her if it's okay if I buy something, even though we don't share our own money. We're not married or anything, so we don't have that problem yet. But I really like it when I can show her a product and be like, hey, look, this is what this thing is. I really like it. I know you don't know what it is or understand it, but I want your opinion on it. I want to kind of present an argument. Do you think it's worthwhile? Do you think my argument's kind of flawed? Should I not waste the money? Yada, yada, yada. And for the most part, she's very forgiving. She loves the kind of stuff I buy. And in return, I love the stuff she buys, whether it be as basic as perfume or as more creative as a Jack Skellington mug that she, instead of drinking from, puts fake flowers in because it's a really cool decorative piece. You know, because pop culture has invaded our lives. And it has been since the fucking dawn of fucking cinema. You know, since comic books, since movies, since, I'd say about the 1920s to, maybe the 1950s. I'd say that's when it really kicked off, at least in terms of real good memory. Like, of course you still had stuff like the Universal Monsters, but they didn't have figurines for that until, like, the 50s and 60s. So, it was really in that economic boom post-World War II that things started happening. You still had comics in this, you know, during World War II and whatever, but they were like literature to read, not so much collectibles. They are now, as such, and most people would still collect them. I've even got a whole bunch of comic books myself. I've got some that my dad had from when he was a teenager. So comic books that are 40 years old. One that's framed over in the corner of the room that's signed by Stan Lee, you know. It's just this cool appreciation. And yeah, I know people would say fucking pop vinyls are the same as Cabbage Patch Kids from the 90s and whatever in the 80s. But it's like, yeah, and if they get dawned out, that's what happens. But Funkos have more of a, luckily, for at least the brand, they have more of a appreciation among audiences, because they could make Funkos of anything. Of course, they still get the licensing rights and whatever, but they could make Universal Monsters, they can make Scott Pilgrim, they can make Stranger Things, they can make Beetlejuice, they can make shit from the most obscure stuff. Like, they've even, I believe, introduced Blue's Clues and Clifford the Red Dog. I'm like, this is shit that I grew up with. Why is this becoming a pop vinyl? None of this is new. Like, I think there's a Clifford the Big Red Dog that still exists. Like, they've got an animated show, and kind of maybe the same with Blue's Clues. But again, it's been such a long time since I grew up with them. Like, 18 years ago, even. Probably longer. It's hard to deduce now, given I'm 22, so it's hard to do math properly. That's what happens when you get older. You just forget what math is. So, yeah, it's just, to know that such a brand like that can have 3 different variations of one different freaking thing. This being, well, I mean, The Creature from the Black Lagoon has a little horror mini. It's got regular pulp vinyls. You know, Scott Pilgrim has, again, soda bottles. But they're not actual soda bottles, but they're still figurines, you know, and then they've got their regular Funkos, and it's just so cool that they can do that, and they can branch out that way. They've got Funko designs on t-shirts. They've got bundles where you can get a Funko design on a t-shirt. My girlfriend has a Care Bear that is flocked, that's pink, and it has a blue t-shirt that came with it with a little Care Bear on the left breast, or just above the left breast, and that's it. That's all that's on the shirt. It's just a tiny Care Bear. I don't even know if it's a Care Bear. I think it might just be the logo. And that's it, like the logo of Care Bears. And I think that's it. Maybe the little love heart, whatever. But that's it on the whole entire t-shirt. But you get a cool little Care Bear pop vinyl with it. So yeah, I get it. They are soulless little plastic cash grabs. But I think they're cool. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed my little rant about figurines and collectibles. If you agree, who cares? Because we buy what we buy, and it's what we use our money on. Whether it be houses, TVs, or little plastic thingies that you'll throw out in about 5 years. Nevertheless, thank you so much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more. You can also check out Collector Creations, probably a link on the screen and in the description down below. And subscribe to this channel where I do fort essays. Dun dun dun! I'd say Happy Halloween, but it's probably December, so... Happy Halloween! Fuck Christmas. Yeah.